Okay, well, like,
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a very special session on the Manipur NL. We have with us three people from News Laundry, two reporters and one producer. They were in Manipur this month and they were there for about 20 days. So I'll just quickly introduce them first and then we'll talk a little bit about the purpose of this live stream and what we're going to do over the next 1 hour. So maybe we can start with Shiv and then Prateek and Priyali. Could you please introduce yourselves to our audience before I begin?
Hi everyone.
Your voice is it's a bit muffled.
Okay. Is it okay now? Mm,
can you reconnect your headphones? Sure.
Say something.
Hello. Is it okay?
Yeah, just be a
Am I-
little loud when you speak.
Yeah. So as Manisha said that we were there for roughly around 3 weeks, and yeah, in Manipur, and I, of course, she told that I'm a reporter with News Laundry, and it was great experience for me. I have never seen violence of that scale in my entire life. I saw We saw so many arms, so many boots on the ground, lot of several paramilitary forces personnel. I think uh, we did a lot of stories from Manipur, a lot of video stories, text stories, and Priyali, who is a producer, she also chipped in with a lot of good stories related to pregnant women, children. And there was a lot of camaraderie between us, and not only work-wise, but in terms of uh, helping each other out. I think it was wonderful experience. And we would like to do more stories from Manipur also.
So we can come to Manipur, but let's just do the introductions first. So Shiv has been a
Yeah.
reporter with for how long with us now?
It's been more than 1 year. I
More
think
than
1 year, 3 months.
And
And
before that, you were with the Indian Express.
yeah, and this was my first NL Sena project that I took part.
Great. And Prateek,
Mm.
please introduce yourself.
You're on mute.
My name is Prateek Goyal. I'm a reporter with न्यूज लॉन्ड्री और मैं पिछले 5 साल से हूँ न्यूज लॉन्ड्री में.
And based in Pune.
Yeah, I'm based in Pune.
And Priyali.
I am a producer here. I joined very recently, about 4 to 5 months back, and I was lucky to get to travel to Manipur with two very good.
And Priyali also directs TV nuisance.
Yes, and produces Auckland also.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to talk a lot about Manipur, obviously, because the purpose of this conversation is that we give you a little bit of behind the scenes action on what our reporters saw there, what were the important stories they thought they did there. Is there anything that they did not put in the story, but it was worth mentioning? So stuff like that we'll talk about. But just before that, I think it's important for all of our viewers to know that we have something called the NL Sena at News Laundry. Now, as you know, we are completely ad-free platform. We don't take any advertisements from governments or corporations. And so NL Sena is one way in which we get reporting funds. So reporting is not sasta kam. It is something that requires resources. It requires a lot of things. Of course, great reporters, but also when you send a team to Manipur, you have to fly them down there. You have to make sure they have cabs because they have to travel everywhere. You have to make sure they have accommodation, and you have to also make sure that they're not starving. So there are multiple costs that we incur when we send people out to report. And NL Sena is one way in which we collect funds to send reporters to report outside. Mostly these assignments are outside Delhi because that's when it costs us money. Delhi, and typically, it'll be a long form project which requires 20 days or 1 month of reporting. We set up a target and then we ask people to fund it. And once it's funded, we send our reporters. So Manipur project was also an NL Sena project. We put up a target of, I think, 4 lakh, around 4 lakh. It got, we topped it up and we sent them. But of course, we exceeded the budget because being in Manipur presented its own challenges. And it cost us a little more than we had anticipated. So that's NL Sena. And please keep yourself on mute, everyone, the participants. We'll unmute you every time you guys want to talk. So the purpose of this chat is we have all the people here on our Zoom who supported this NL Sena project. So we are going to take questions from them. They may want to ask our reporters things. So we're going to give them full access to our reporters so that they can question them. Give us their feedback, what they thought about the stories. Do they think they were good? Do they think that something was missing? So please be honest with your feedback. And of course, get a little behind the scenes action. So that's NL Sena. Currently, we have one NL Sena project on the Himachal Pradesh floods. Ridesh Joshi, who's a very seasoned environment journalist, he's done 4 reports so far. So please check that out. We also have another NL Sena project up on Monu Manesar. We have a documentary video profile on Monu Manesar with exclusive footage of him, of conversations with him. The short film kind of focuses on how he operates, and such films require, again, quite a bit of resources. So that project will be dedicated to releasing the Monu Manesar short documentary film. You can check that out also. We're going to take all your questions, all the NL subscribers or NL Sena members who are here. So if you have a question, you just have to raise your hand and then Priyali will unmute you and then we'll take your question. Before that, good evening to TK, who's just joined in. I think all of you, I can ask you one question to warm up this session and then we'll go to our subscribers. So I think my one question to all of you, of course, is one, this is the first time that I think all 3 of you reported from a conflict zone. Prateek is reported from Chhattisgarh, obviously, but active conflict where the state was in complete turmoil. You people were calling us and saying, open gun battles ho raha hai, har roz kuch na kuch firing ho rahi hai, kuch na kuch. So how, when you left from Pune and Delhi, what were the things that shocked you about being in Manipur? Because you were reading about everything that's happening there. By that time, that viral video had also released of the women being dragged, but still being there, what were the things that really caught your attention and surprised you that this was happening in a state in India?
If I could speak first, for me, it was how heavily civilians were armed. That was shocking for me. Though before going to Manipur, we had read in newspaper or other report, we have seen other reports. But then when we hit the ground, we saw like civilians from both sides. They were heavily armed. I think in video reportage, we might have seen single barrel or double barrel guns, but actually there were automatic weapons also. I think once I was on the other side, and I was reporting from hillside. We were at the front line. Priyali was also with me, and we were caught in the crossfire. So volunteers are there, but when the gunfight intensifies, then hardcore militants or hardcore fighters, they come in the picture, and they come with automatic weapons, AK-47, SLRs, I think M16 also. So that was shocking, and police was nowhere to be seen. There was total collapse of state machinery from both sides. From the valley side, even Manipur commandos, they were actively helping Methi volunteers or Methi fighters. On the other side, from the Kuki Zo side, we could see people in pickup trucks with weapons. They were going up and down during gunfight, and police was nowhere in the picture. So I think, the number of arms that we saw, that was shocking for me. if Pratik and Priyali
Yeah,
could
yeah.
add.
मतलब यही I also want to add this the same thing. मतलब ये I mean conflict ठीक है डेफिनेटली है, हमको पता भी था कि वहाँ पे क्या देखने मिलेगा या क्या होगा, बहुत वायलेंस के बारे में सुना भी था, बट ये जो आर्म्स वाली बात है ना, और आर्म्स और जिस तरीके का जो वायलेंस है ना, मतलब जो बार्बरिज्म था ना वहाँ पे, वो बहुत मतलब आई हैव सीन लॉट ऑफ वायलेंस बट नॉट लाइक दिस। और जो आर्म्स जो ये सिविलियंस के हाथ में जो आर्म्स जो बोल रहे हैं ना कि, एंड उनका जो पूरे कॉम्बैट आउटफिट और वो एकेज हैं, SLR है, M16 लटकी हुई है, साथ में दो 9mm हैं, देन दे हैव अ डैगर, मतलब पूरा ऐसा लग रहा है कि आप कहीं मिलिट्री जोन में लड़ाई चल रही है, और सब सिविलियंस हैं, मतलब आई मीन दैट साइड आल्सो दिस साइड वी हैव सीन बोथ द साइड। और दोनों ही तरफ के लोग मतलब लाइक कोई रिपोर्टर वीडियो आई मीन ले तो वो तुरंत बहुत स्ट्रिक्टली मना कर देते हैं कि आप वीडियो नहीं ले सकते इसका, लेकिन जब वो दोनों ही तरफ से लोग बात करते हैं तो वो बोलते हैं कि हमको अपना गांव प्रोटेक्ट करना है, मतलब ये आई मीन फ्रॉम द हिल साइड जो कुकी डोमिनेट वो बोलेंगे कि वो लोग हम पे अटैक कर रहे हैं, वी हैव टू डिफेंड, वैली वाले बोलेंगे कि वो हम पे अटैक कर रहे हैं, वी हैव टू डिफेंड। तब वो बोलेंगे कि हमारे पास यही वेपन्स हैं, उनके पास ज्यादा वेपन्स हैं, लेकिन दोनों के पास ही मतलब इस तरीके के ऑटोमेटिक मैंने सिविलियंस के हाथ में कभी नहीं देखे, और इतनी बड़ी तादाद में तो कभी नहीं देखे। मतलब ऐसा लग रहा था कि वो बंदे ऐसा आप मतलब कोई अगर ऐसा पहली बार जाएगा तो शायद डिस्क्रिमिनेट नहीं कर पाएगा कि ये फौजी बंदा है, कोई लड़ने जा रहा है, या कोई ये सिविलियन है। तो वो एक चीज बहुत अलग थी, शॉकिंग थी।
Yeah, arms was a very big thing for me as well. This I've usually reported on elections, but going to a conflict area was a jarring experience. But more than arms for me, it was how helpless people were. Because especially in areas like Churachandpur, every school has been converted into a refugee camp. There are children, there are parents who lost their children, there are people who've lost their husbands, their wives, whatnot. And the realization that, it's almost a civil war that's going on. People were very casually telling us that, I had a Methi friend, but I can't speak to them anymore even if I want to. I can't go and visit my old house, my old office. So I think the helplessness will stay. It will stay with me the most, reporting or producing. So you're muted, Manju. No, you're muted, Manju.
Mute.
Oh, sorry. So, no, I was saying that if anyone has questions, they can please raise their hands and then we'll allow them to unmute and then speak. So, Priyali, if there's anyone, just let me know. One thing.
There is one question in the chat by TK, if you want to take it.
Yeah. Says, first and foremost, thank you all for doing ground reporting from Manipur. How much did this ground reporting change your opinion about the situation in Manipur? So, how did this change your opinion? Did you guys? I think it changed it for the worse only.
एक मतलब
what was happening there.
एक चीज ये बहुत मतलब ऐसा मतलब जो बहुत आई मीन शॉकिंग, मतलब शॉक, मतलब मैं खुद शॉक हो गया उस चीज से। मुझे लगा कि हमारा एक इंडिया है, इतना बड़ा कंट्री है, एक हमारे इंडिया के एक स्टेट में इस तरीके का वायलेंस हो रहा है, एंड मतलब जो भी हमारे जो मतलब अथॉरिटीज है, मतलब जो हम आई मीन सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट हो, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट हो, हमारी प्राइम मिनिस्टर हो, आई मीन इतना बवाल चल रहा है उधर की, और वो उस वक्त उन्होंने वहां पे गए भी नहीं। तो वो एक बहुत मेरे को अजीब बात लगी कि हमारी कंट्री के एक पार्ट में ऐसा हो रहा है, और आई मीन इज नॉट इवन देयर, आई मीन इज नॉट इवन विजिटेड द स्टेट, एंड ही वाज इनफैक्ट मतलब जब हम लोग वहां पे रिपोर्टिंग कर रहे थे तो दैट टाइम यहाँ पुणे में एक मेट्रो का उद्घाटन था, वो भी सेकंड फेज का, ही वाज हियर। तो वो चीज ऐसा बहुत ऐसा उससे मेरा बहुत एक अलग तरीके का ओपिनियन चेंज हुआ है कि ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है कि हाउ कैन यू बी लाइक दिस।
Shiv?
Shiv, you're muted.
Shiv, you're muted.
Yeah. So it's not my opinion, but it's how mainland India sees Manipur. What you see from Delhi is different when you hit the ground. When you're on the ground, you see different picture. Because from Delhi, from distance, if you're reporting on an issue, I think the picture won't be that clear. So I'm talking about from India's perspective. Of course, a lot of people now know about Manipur, what's happening, and people from Northeast, they undergo a lot of racial abuse when they are in mainland India. But now I think Manipuris might face some sort of discrimination in a sense which ethnicity they belong to. I mean, that's the first question that mainland Indians would ask if somebody is from Manipur. So on the basis of their ethnicity, people will form their own opinion whether you're Kuki or or from Methi community. So I think that's the perception that will develop in mainland India also about both the ethnicities.
What about you, Piali? How did your opinion about Manipur change? Anything very particular, something that changed your opinion while you were there or after covering?
I think I would side with Shiv what he said, that I had a very different opinion of the war, of the civil war basically from Delhi. It's true that there in the beginning there were a certain community that was the aggressor and the other that was the victim, but now clearly there's aggression from both sides, and it's gone to a completely different level that nobody could have imagined, that there are no curbs that are being put on any of this. So I think the narrative that was there in my head personally, that changed a lot by the end.
So broadly, you guys would say just the sheer number of weapons that civilians had, that was very shocking for you guys to see. And once a fight escalated, seeing militants out in the open come with heavy weapons, AK-47s, SLR. So those are the things. I think one question that I have, and then we'll take one question from the comment also, was, this thing comes a lot, that this division and hate between two communities. And I think a lot of us in Delhi or in mainland India are really studying that now after this whole thing. We knew that there are tribals and there is, Metis, but itna level ka division ya itna simmering kuch chal raha tha, that I don't think a lot of us were aware of. And now it has come to the point that, sometimes even sitting in Delhi, when we put up a report that is talking about maybe Metis who have died, you'll get a volley of messages, presumably from, cookies saying, why are you showing only one-sided? अगर आपने cookies का दिखा दिया तो फिर आपको Methi side से गाली पड़ती है कि आपने why you only showing this, you are unfair. So there is such a contest right now in the battle of narratives, and there is this immense distance between two communities, which I think bridge होने में बहुत ही time लग जाएगा. So, according to you guys, what are the key reasons for this? Why has the division become so bad that people are out with guns? Regular folks, you guys interviewed students, farmers, very ordinary people who are saying they're doing this just to protect themselves. So, what, to your mind, how did you kind of understand this kind of deep division between two people? Where is it coming from, and how did it get so bad?
Of course, I mean, this conflict, I mean, the seeds were sown earlier. I mean, on the face of it, it seems that that Methi's demand for scheduled tribe reservation was the trigger. But this was not the case. Before that, Biren Singh's war against drugs, against poppy cultivation, then evicting tribals from reserve forest areas. I think those were the earliest signs of a war brewing between the government and the tribals. But I think, if on the whole, if we see it, it's the fight for space, as I mentioned in earlier during our Reporters Without Orders podcast, that the fight is for space. Earlier it was between Nagas and Kukis. Now it's between Metis and Kuki Zo communities. They are fighting for space in administration, fight space in politics, space. I mean, they're also looking for land. So I think it boils down to land. Who has how much space and how you can how can you get larger chunk of that space?
मे बी ये जो फाइट स्टार्ट हुआ, जैसे शिव ने रीजन बताया कि जो एंटी ड्रग कैंपेन चल रहा था या जो एविक्शन चल रहा था, तो एविक्शन का तो अगर ये भी है कि फ्रॉम बोथ साइड जो एक आरटीआई रिपोर्ट आया था कि दोनों तरफ से जो भी इलीगल इंक्रोचमेंट है वो हटाए गए थे, बट हाँ इससे काफी एंगर पेंट अप हो गया था ये। लेकिन ये जो जिस लेवल पे हेट पहुंचा है ना, ये वो वॉयलेंस की वजह से पहुंचा है जो इतनी लंबी खिंच गई। अगर उसको मे बी इनिशियली कंट्रोल कर लेते या जो भी, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल थर्ड फोर्थ वो तो फिफ्थ को भयानक तरीके से राइट्स हुए, लेकिन वो चलते गई चलते गई चलते गई। उस वजह से आज ये सिचुएशन है कि कुकीज कैनॉट कम टू द वैली एंड मेतेज कैनॉट गो टू द हिल्स। मतलब जो भी जैसे कांगपोकपी या चोचानपुर है, और वो लोग वैली में नहीं आ सकते। तो ये जो इतना लंबा चलने दिया ना इस वॉयलेंस को, वो एक ऐसा रीजन मेरे को लगता है कि जिसकी वजह से इतना डीप हेट्रेड पैदा हो गया। मे बी अगर इनिशियली ये कंट्रोल हो जाता जैसे कि 5-7 दिन में जो जैसे भी, तो शायद इतना इतना इस लेवल पे नहीं पहुंचता। क्योंकि वो जो इस लंबे पीरियड में जिस तरीके की किलिंग्स और वायलेंस हुआ है, गांव के गांव जला दिए दोनों तरफ ने एक दूसरे को, मतलब सबको मार रहे हैं, कत्लेआम चल रहा है बुरी तरीके से, तो वो इतना नफरत बढ़ गई है उसको लेके। तो मेरे को ये लगता है कि ये जो चलने दिया लंबा वायलेंस, इसको कंट्रोल नहीं किया गया, सब वो देखते रहे उसको, बिल्कुल आई मीन निग्लेक्ट किया गया, उसकी वजह से इतना डीप हेट्रेड पैदा हुआ।
And
Really?
if
I just want to, I mean, the reasons they're given are very apt, but I just want to narrate one incident of how deep this hatred has been heeded now. I went to about 3 to 4 refugee camps in Churachandpur to do the story on cookies or children, speak to them, the children who've lost their family members. And during my initial conversations, I was asking them, what's your favorite subject and which is the subject you hate the most? And for the second answer, most of them said the subject Manipuri, which is the Methi language. And these were children as young as 6 years old, 7 years old, 10 years old. So that's how deep the hatred has gone, especially in the younger generation now.
But I don't understand. Like they said, their favorite subject is Manipuri.
No, the subject they hate the most is
Oh,
Manipuri
the subject they
language.
hate them. Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Hmm.
Okay, we have a
Uh,
question. Someone wanted to say? You said wanted to say
yeah,
something?
yeah, couple of examples how deep this divide is between the communities. If I'm correct, from Imphal, the distance between Churachandpur and Imphal is just 60 kilometers, and goods cannot. I mean, Churachandpur people can't get goods from Imphal because no vehicle would dare to enter hill districts. So what Churachandpur is doing or other hill districts are doing, they're getting their goods, all the essentials from neighboring state. So just 60-kilometer distance, and at the same time, consumers are also getting affected because they are paying more price because the travel cost also increases. And apart from that, if we look at the deaths, like we reported on bodies which are lying into hospitals, even there is no dignity in death. Like family members can't go to Imphal and claim these bodies, and these bodies have been rotting for so many months, for more than 3 months, and still these bodies are unclaimed. So that shows how deep the divide is.
So 2 questions we'll take now. One is from Preetham. He's asking, so first question you answered, what are the transformations that you saw? He's asking, did you ever feel threatened? And the second question you guys can take from another one is from, I think, Partha. No, sorry. Partha has asked, did you ever feel threatened? And Preetham has asked, can you please elaborate on the role of Meera Paibis in the current situation? So any anecdotes you have, anything you want to talk about Meera Paibis and their role? So did you feel threatened? And role of
थ्रेटन
Meera
तो लाइक थ्रेटन तो नहीं हुए कभी, आई मीन ऐसा कभी किसी
Did
ने
you feel कभी कि अब गए?
हाँ
कि गोलियां चल रही थी आसपास?
नहीं ऐसा तो नहीं लगा, मतलब वो तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं हुई। बट हाँ, जैसे मीरा पाइबीज का है तो एक अभी जैसे एक जो मीरा पाइबीज का अभी जैसे हम लोग जो भी हमने वीडियोस पे देख रहे हैं या मतलब वो ट्रक्स रोकते हैं, तो देखिए मीरा पाइबीज को जो स्पेशली मैथे सोसाइटी है वो बहुत ज्यादा मानती है एक्चुअली। एक जो मीरा पाइबीज का जो हिस्ट्री में जाएंगे तो एक यूपी लाल करके, मतलब वुमेन वॉर हुआ था ब्रिटिश के टाइम पे, तो ब्रिटिश ने चावल के दाम बढ़ाए थे, तो तब से मीरा, तो वो औरतों ने लड़ाई लड़ी थी, तो तब से वो मीराबाई बीच का कल्चर चले आ रहा है। और जब मणिपुर में काफी इंसर्जेंसी थी, जब एक्स्ट्रा जुडिशियल किलिंग्स होती थी, तब भी वो लोग बहुत मतलब आर्मी को रोकते थे उठाने से बच्चों लोग को, या ड्रग्स को लेके भी काफी उनका वो था। और उनका थोड़ा सा एक विजिलेंटी ग्रुप जैसा भी है वहाँ पे, जैसे कोई अगर बच्चा ड्रग्स कर रहा हो, ये कर रहा हो, तो वो उसको पकड़ के पीट देंगे या उसको घर में नहीं आने देंगे, और उसके बाल काट देंगे। तो वो सब चीजें थी, मतलब उनको रिस्पेक्ट भी है और साथ में उनका एक अलग रूप भी है। लेकिन अभी इसमें वो जब हम जो मीराबाई बीज हैं वो मतलब इतने, वो एक्चुअली एक्चुअली देखा जाए तो पूरे वैली का जो सबसे बड़ा पावरफुल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन मेरे को लगा। भले ही वो आम बंदे होंगे, वो भी कुछ नहीं है जो मीराबाई बीज का वहाँ पे इफेक्ट है। वो लोग का इतना सॉलिड नेटवर्क है, इतने ऑर्गेनाइज्ड हैं वो रात को मतलब बहुत सारे हमने देखा था रात को अपने घरों में सोते ही नहीं है वो रोड पे रह रहे हैं या आर्मी के ट्रक जा रहे हैं। और उनसे हमने पूछा था कि आप क्यों रोकते हो इसको, तो एक ने बोला कि जब ये लोग आर्मी वहां पे जा रही है हमारे प्रोटेक्शन के लिए, तब भी हमारे गांव पे अटैक हो रहा है, इस पे हमारे हमारे घर जला रहे हैं। और स्पेशली आसाम राइफल को लेके उन लोग का बहुत ही मतलब बोलते ना कॉन्ट्रोवर्शियल उनका जो मतलब आसाम राइफल का पुराना हिस्ट्री भी है वहाँ पे मनोरमा वाले केस का। बट अभी इसमें तो आसाम राइफल को सबसे ज्यादा टारगेट करते थे वो लोग, मीराबाई भी। तो उनका मैते सोसाइटी में तो बहुत वो है, लेकिन अभी ये जो जैसे अभी इनिशियली जैसे अभी एक वो मरिंग एक नागा लेडी थी, उसका जो उनका बहुत ब्रूटली उनको मारा था मतलब। तो उसमें जो आई थिंक जो लोग को अरेस्ट किया, उनमें से 4-5 मीराबाई भी थी। मतलब और उनको ऐसे मारा था कि आई मीन उनका बॉडी पड़ा हुआ था और उनके मुंह पे वो लोग बुलेट करीबन 15-20 शॉट्स मारे होंगे, पूरा मुंह फट गया मतलब। तो उस वक्त उस केस में जो आई थिंक आरएमआई टंगोल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और भी कुछ लोग को अरेस्ट किया था, एंड मीरा पाइबीस को भी अरेस्ट किया उसमें चारों को।
तो आप लोग जब मिले मीरा पाइबी से, डू यू हैव एनी एनेक्डोट्स टू टेल अस, लाइक व्हाट डिड दे फील अबाउट दिस होल थिंग?
वो मीडिया की कवरेज को लेके बहुत ये बोलते हैं, मतलब दोनों तरफ से बोला जाता है। वो मीरा भाई बोलते हैं कि नेशनल मीडिया हमारा कुछ दिखाता नहीं है, ये नहीं करता है, वो नहीं करता
ये तो सबका कंप्लेंट है वहां।
ये तो वो है वेरी एग्रेसिव। हाँ मतलब बहुत शांत भी लगे, लेकिन वो काफी एग्रेसिव तरीके के। एक बार मतलब मैं और प्याली जा रहे थे, तो उसने बस कैमरा उसने मतलब फोन ऑन ही किया था, तो उतने में देख लिया ये बंद को, मतलब वो तुरंत बहुत एग्रेसिव हो जाते हैं वो लोग। और जैसे फौजी तो मतलब आर्मी वाले बहुत परेशान है एक्चुअली देखा जाए तो, वो उनको रोक लेते हैं, वो उनका रिक्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं हाथ जोड़ के, अरे हमको माता जी जाने दीजिए। फिर लोकल पुलिस पुलिस स्टेशन के जो लोग होते हैं, जुरिडिक्शन जिनका भी होता है, वहाँ के पुलिस ऑफिसर्स आते हैं, वो फिर उनको समझाते हैं, वो रिक्वेस्ट करते हैं, फिर वो जाने देते हैं। उनको लगते हैं कि वो बोलते हैं कि ये राशन में किसी को छुपा के लेके जा रहे हैं या राशन उनके लिए लेके जा रहे हैं, बहुत सारी चीजें मतलब उसको लेके। लेकिन एक जो हमने उससे पूछा था, उन्होंने बोला था कि जब ये हमारी फौज प्रोटेक्शन के लिए है, तो वहां जाके फिर ये उनका साथ दे, उनको ये लगता है कि आसाम राइफल कुकीज का साथ देता है, तो वो हम पे क्यों अटैक होता है हम पे। उस चक्कर में वो स्पेशली आसाम राइफल्स को बहुत ज्यादा रोक। और बीच में 10 कंपनीज आई थी, मतलब हाँ पूरी बीएसएफ और आई थिंक आईटीबीपी वगैरह, किसी को भी वो लोग एयरपोर्ट पे पड़े हुए थे ऑलमोस्ट पूरा आई थिंक 10 एक घंटा। उनको जाने ही नहीं दे रहे थे, वो लोग निकल ही नहीं पा रहे थे।
Anyone, Shiv or Priyali, do you want to talk about a moment
Yeah.
you felt threatened or on Mira Paibi's?
Mira Paibis, I think Pratik has already explained, because uh, Pratik has covered Mira Paibis. So, but did I face? Was I threatened, or did I ever feel unsafe while on ground? So I was on both sides, because when Pratik was reporting from the front line from Meti side, so I was holding the camera and Pratik was the reporter. I mean, he reported, and on the other side, from the Cookie side, I was with Priyali. So I think Meti side on that day, the gunfire was not that intense, but on the Cookie side, I think the gunfire was very intense. So I think for 1 hour or so, I think there was constant and heavy gunfire from the other side, and we were caught in the crossfire. And though we didn't feel unsafe, it's just that we taken shelter under a bunker. So I think we were safe, and we were surrounded by some. We were with some 15 to 20 volunteers, cookies or volunteers. But no, but we had to be careful for each sentence that we wrote. We wanted to be as factual as possible. We didn't want to give anybody chance to say that we are pushing one agenda or the other. So though of course we got a couple of calls saying that why we have got this quote, or why don't you get our quote also. So of course we added those quotes later on, but I think we reported, we did stories from both sides. And no, we were not threatened. Priyali, if Priyali wants to add something to it.
Same day, when we were at the front line from the cookie side, not threatened, worried perhaps a little bit. That is the only day I texted Parikshit, my boss, that this is where we are. Just I'm letting you know in case something happens. So that's the only day. And I think I was a little worried about also not being able to film that whole thing, because that would have been a great video report. But everybody there was very young, and we didn't want to put ourselves in danger also. So I avoided making a video report out of that. I think that's the only time I felt that our reporter was a bit affected by the situation.
And bullets.
Kiki wants to ask, how was your interactions with the Assam Rifles officials or with the state police? So tell us about, maybe like conversations you had with them that didn't make into the piece. Do they see any solution coming up in the near future? If so, what are the possible solutions they were talking about? So Assam Rifles और police, Manipur police, दोनों की side पे जो तुमने conversations की, उनके बारे में बताइए. और forces के side से what were they saying to you कि ये खत्म होगा, नहीं होगा, अगर होगा तो कैसे होगा?
I think Pratik,
पुलिस से तो
हाँ.
She was spoken to, I think, Assam Rifles के कुछ लोग बंदों से मिला भी है ये, और मैं पुलिस के ऑफिशियल से उनसे मेरी बात हुई थी. तो पुलिस में ना एक बहुत मतलब जो इनिशियल वायलेंस का तो उन्होंने बताया कि क्या हुआ था उस दिन, लेकिन एक चीज जो उनको अभी सबसे बड़ा एक फैक्टर, वो जो एक बहुत बड़ा ना एक जो विश्वास है ना वो पूरा टूट चुका है वहां पे, मतलब लोगों के, आई मीन इवन इन पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट. तो जैसे अभी मे बी सीनियर जो आईपीएस ऑफिसर्स हैं वो लोग तो फिर भी ठीक है, समझते हैं पूरी चीज को, लेकिन जो लोअर रैंक है उनको वो कम्युनिटी वाला एंगल आ गया है उसमें दोनों ही तरफ से. और एक बात जरूर है कि यहाँ पे मतलब जो वैली में स्टिल भले वो गवर्नमेंट मतलब कोई नहीं है ना के लिए, मतलब नहीं है वो बेसिकली, अगर आप ग्राउंड पे जाएंगे तो कोई आपको नेता दिखेगा नहीं, बस स्टिल गवर्नमेंट वाला सीन है. लेकिन हिल्स में आई थिंक पुलिस का कोई रोल नहीं है, दे डोंट हैव एनी रोल टू प्ले ओवर देयर, मतलब वो उनका कुछ उनकी नहीं चलती है उस एरिया, बिल्कुल भी नहीं. और जो मिस्ट्रस वाली बात है वो बहुत ज्यादा पुलिस फोर्स में आ गया कि भाई अब क्या पुलिस भी पूरी बच चुकी है मतलब. और एक्चुअली जैसे कोई ऐसे एग्जांपल मेथे ऑफिसर है तो वो बिल्कुल ये मतलब बोलते ना वो बहुत वो पहले तो ऑन रिकॉर्ड तो बात करेंगे ही नहीं, वो लोग ऑफ रिकॉर्ड ही बात करेंगे. और मतलब जब वो ये सब जब इम्फाल में स्पेशली वायलेंस हो रहा था तो वो लोग जो भी लोग दंगा कर रहे थे, जो राइटर्स थे, उनका मतलब जो भी जैसे ये मेथेलुपन और अरामेटंगोला काफी ज्यादा नाम आया था उसमें कि वो लोग लीड कर रहे हैं मॉब को या जो भी इससे क्राउड था, वो लोग वो एक्चुअली जो पुलिस ऑफिसर ये उनको रोक रहे थे उन लोग उनके बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन निकालने लग रहे थे वो लोग कि ये लोग कौन कहाँ रहते हैं, इनके बच्चे किधर पढ़ते हैं, इस तरीके की बात, मतलब उस तरीके से कि उनको भी टारगेट करते हैं. और एक दो लोग मतलब आप जस्ट इमेजिन कि मतलब वहां पे वायलेंस का ये लेवल हो गया था कि इम्फाल में डीजीपी के घर अटैक हो गया. डीजीपी मतलब जो स्टेट के पुलिस का चीफ है उसके घर पे हमला हो गया. एंड वो चीज कंट्रोल नहीं हो रही है, आप हो पा रही है, मतलब इस तरीके का वायलेंस हो रहा था. तो पुलिस का तो अभी ये स्थिति है वहां पे कि बहुत ज्यादा उनको मतलब बहुत टूट गया है वहां सिस्टम जो है ना. कुल मिला के बात है कि सिस्टम बहुत ही टूटा हुआ है उधर. और अभी मतलब जैसे अभी मेरी बात हो रही थी वहां पे मेरे कॉन्टैक्ट से उन लोगों से, तो बोले थे कि अभी थोड़ा सा ठीक है, शांति चल रही, लेकिन वहां पे इतना वॉलेटाइल सिचुएशन है कि कभी भी कुछ भी हो सकता है.
What about Assam Rifles trip, since you met officials from the Assam Rifles?
Yeah, so Assam Rifles, uh, they dismissed most of the allegations that, I mean, allegation that have come from Metis side, saying that Assam Rifles is biased towards Kuki Zumi community. The chief allegation from Metis community is that there are Assam Rifles uh, in its ranks. There are Kuki people, Kuki officers, but then Assam Rifles. Uh, the officials I met, they said there are Metis officers also in Assam Rifles. So you can't just say that we have only Kuki officers in our ranks who are serving in Manipur. So that is the main allegation. But of course, we have also have to look at the uh, the troubled history of Assam. I mean, the relationship between uh, uh, Manipuris and Assam Rifles, and that history also plays a lot of part why there is a distrust between Metis and Assam Rifles. Assam Rifles also said, like, when we were rescuing people, we did not look at the ethnicity of people. So we reported on Manipur University rescue operation, and there they said that we rescued everyone. Like, we rescued people from the mainland, students from uh, Naga students, or even if they were Metis students. But of course, Metis students did not feel unsafe at the time because the mob was targeting only Kuki-Zo students. So there's, and same thing happened in Churachandpur also. Churachandpur, we have spoken to a lot of Metis people who fled from Churachandpur. So people we spoke to, they said Assam Rifles came to our rescue, and they escorted us to the valley also. So first few days they were kept in relief camp in Churachandpur mini secretariat, and after few days they were escorted to the valley area. So I think maybe we need to look. I mean, look. Uh, we need to have more in-depth study, more in-depth report to look at the relationship between Assam Rifles and Metis community.
बट ओवरऑल आई मीन जो आसाम राइफल के ऊपर जो भी एलिगेशन लग रहे होंगे, बट ओवरऑल जो एक्चुअल जो डॉक्यूमेंटेड चीज है उसके हिसाब से आसाम राइफल ने दोनों ही तरफ के जो जब वो रेस्क्यू कर रहे थे तो एक्चुअली इधर चौहानपुर से भी रेस्क्यू किया है, हिल से भी रेस्क्यू किया उन्होंने, वैली से भी रेस्क्यू किया, दोनों कम्युनिटीज को रेस्क्यू किया है. मतलब उन्होंने ये नहीं किया कि ये वो है तो उसको छोड़ दो या वैसा, मतलब उन्होंने अपना काम अच्छी तरीके से किया है. जो बट हाँ, जैसे जो उनका हिस्ट्री है वो डेफिनेटली मैथ्स के वो जो मनोरमा वाला केस तब से वो हिस्ट्री उनका बिगड़ा ही हुआ, एक्स्ट्रा जुडिशियल किलिंग्स की वजह से वो काफी मतलब टेंशन रही है स्टार्टिंग से.
But as far as the question of how this violence or how this ongoing conflict can be ended, if I could share how security forces see this. Security forces are of the view, like, unless we have the powers, unless we are given powers, we can't do anything. We are just watching how this conflict is unfolding. Suppose if people want help of security forces in one area, then SDM has to give permission because there is no FSPA in Manipur. Like, I think in some district it's still there, but in most of the district FSPA has been removed, so they don't have this protection. So they have to get permission. Security forces have to get the permission from SDM. SDM has to write, have to give approval that now security forces can deal with the situation. They can actively participate. They can actively diffuse the situation. But security forces are saying, as long as we don't have powers, we can't do anything. And that those powers, or I mean, the direction has to come from the central government. It's not that security forces don't know what's going on. They know every move of every organization. They know which new groups are being formed from both sides, who can fan the flames. But as long as there's no direction, I don't think so having these many people from security forces would help in any way. It's just that the buffer zone has been created. Even in the buffer zone, buffer zones are also contested, heavily contested by both the communities. So we have seen the videos of police and Assam Rifles, where police are accusing Assam Rifles of accusing them of siding with the cookies. So I think we might see more videos. I think in this conflict situation, even in a stray incident can again worsen the situation.
अभी जैसे जैसे सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की फोर्सेस का बात हुआ, तो मैंने वेंट टू दिस फवक चाव, जहाँ पे वो जो गन फाइट चल रहा था, अंदर गया था मैं। तो वहाँ पे जब जो बीएसएफ, वहाँ पे बीएसएफ के बंकर्स हैं, तो वो जो ये कमांडोज वो पूछ रहे थे उनसे कि लाइक कैन वी यूज योर बंकर। तो क्योंकि वहां से फायरिंग तो बोले कि नहीं, आप ये बंकर नहीं यूज कर सकते, आप अलग से वो बंकर है, आप वहाँ पे जाओ, परमिशन लेके आओ। तो मैंने पूछा कि आप जैसे भी ये सुबह मतलब एक दिन पहले वहाँ पे वो एक बच्चे की डेथ हुई थी, तो मैंने बोला कि आप क्या रिटेलिएट नहीं करते क्या, या आप रोकते नहीं है क्या इनको या उनको? तो बोले कि हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते इसमें। जब वो बोले थे कि लाइक फ्रॉम दैट साइड अगर कुकी पार्टी एडवांस करती है, जैसे उन्होंने सुबह एक शेल फेंका जो हमारे बंकर के पास गिरा, तो हमने हमने भी गोलियां चलाई यहाँ से। तो जब वो एडवांस कर रहे तभी हम अटैक करते हैं, वरना अदरवाइज हमको कोई ये नहीं है। अगर एक्चुअली प्रॉपर ऑर्डर्स मिल जाए ना, मतलब पैरामिलिट्री और मिलिट्री को, तो ये जो पूरे जितने भी ग्रुप्स हैं उनको डिसआर्म करना कोई बहुत बड़ी बात नहीं है। अभी मणिपुर में ऑलमोस्ट 1 लाख के बराबर जो मिलिट्री पैरामिलिट्री, अगर हम दोनों साइड के लोग भी पकड़ लेना जो आगे लड़ रहे हैं या जो वॉलंटियर्स हैं, और जितने भी यूजीज इतने बाहर आ चुके हैं मतलब सबसे वो कंसर्निंग चीज है, हम कॉन्फ्लिक्ट की बात करते हैं, तो दोनों तरफ के इतने यूजीज बाहर आ चुके हैं कि वो एक्चुअली लड़ रहे हैं। वो जो लड़ाई होती है ना, वो वॉलंटियर वगैरह तो सब साइडलाइन है, वो एक्चुअल फाइट करते हैं उसमें। और वो उनका रिक्रूटमेंट भी चालू हो गया है, उनका सब चालू हो गया है। तो जो चीज बहुत अभी अभी भी जो चीजें समझ सकती थी, अगर उसको चलने दिया अभी भी, तो वो फिर बहुत ही मणिपुर वापस वो इंसर्जेंसी से मतलब और पता नहीं कहाँ पहुंच जाएगा, उसके भी और पीछे चले जाएगा।
Okay. Was there a moment where you felt like quitting? No, we had danda on their head every day, so they couldn't have done that. We were calling them and harassing them every day. How did you live your day-to-day life there, considering food, culture, language, environment was totally alien and dystopian at the same time? Is there any memory you will cherish forever?
एलियन तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं था वहां पे, मतलब और लैंग्वेज मेरे ख्याल से जितना नॉर्थ ईस्ट में, आई थिंक स्पेशली मणिपुर में जितनी हिंदी आती है वहाँ के लोगों को, कुकी हो, मेते हो, नागा हो, और भी जो पाते वाते और कोई भी हो, उतना आई थिंक सदर्न स्टेट्स में नहीं आती होगी जितना वो लोग हिंदी बोलते हैं। और वहाँ पे खाना सब कुछ मिल जाता है, तो ऐसा कुछ ऐसी कोई दिक्कत तो नहीं हुई वहाँ पे।
Yeah, like when we before landing in Imphal, we thought language would be a big issue, but that was not the case when we were on the ground. I think most people were able to pass their message either in English or pass on their message either in English or Hindi.
हिंदी
So language was not an issue. Food, I think food. I mean, we didn't have any issue with food, and I think I liked black rice kheer in Imphal.
Like the black rice kheer.
ब्लैक राइस
Black rice
खीर
kheer, yeah.
खीर बनती है उसकी।
Yeah.
That's my favorite, and we met a lot of good people from both sides. Especially local journalists were very helpful to us, and because
मणिपुर बहुत
that was the
खूबसूरत है, मतलब वेरी ब्यूटीफुल प्लेस, मतलब बहुत सुंदर है वो जो एरिया है ना पूरा।
I
कॉन्फ्लिक्ट
think
में भी
everybody
सुंदर ही
we
दिख रहा
met
था।
was very, very helpful. They were very sweet. They were encouraging.
या
Nobody we met was malicious in their intent at all. So we got, I think, very lucky in that sense.
काफी अच्छे लोग मिले।
We knew what to report and what to tell our audience, but everybody we met was very helpful. So
Yeah, and
we listened to everyone, and we did the stories that we did because we believed in them. So of course, people from both sides, they were pitching stories like you can do this or you can do that, but I think we were very careful in choosing our topics or what stories to do.
in fact, even I thought for some reason that Hindi would be very hard for you guys. कि हिंदी में तो कोई बात ही नहीं करेगा या language issue हो जाएगा. But yeah, you guys really sailed through. There was never an issue. Even with video reports, people were very comfortably speaking Hindi, especially in the valley. And in the hills, English seemed to be, people were very happy. So yeah, even I had a misconception that was cleared. And yes, food was not a problem. Like Shiv said, the black kheer rice kheer was nice.
और
And
बहुत
people were
कुछ
very
खाया
sweet,
वहाँ
and
पे।
it's really, it's at one level really sad to see this beautiful state with the diversity that it has to be so divided today. You know, could have been.
And we
Uh,
were coming back at the airport, so there was a lot more checking than there was when we were going, you know. So one of the staffers, they were checking my bag, and I asked them कि इतना क्या हो गया, मतलब no अभी तो ठीक है हालात, it's not as bad as it has been. कहते थे नहीं हम भी कश्मीरी बन रहे हैं आपको पता है. So that's how things have become there now. Every pretty land affected by conflict.
so Shiv, you are getting some compliments for your interviews in Manipur. Um, and one person wants to ask, was when you were interviewing Brinda, was she hesitant at any point of time? Did you feel like she flinched at any question? Or she was very, I mean, she was very articulate actually. I thought she was very, very clear in her how she was talking.
No, I don't think so. The questions that I asked her, she did not skirt any of them, and she was very forthright in in accusing Biren Singh, how he is also involved in drug business, how he's trying to protect one MLA. I don't think so. She was hesitant at any point of time, and I think it was good interview. She spoke well. She was very articulate. And anyway, I mean, beforehand we knew that she is that she was a tangent critique of Biren Singh because of the history and in under what circumstances she resigned.
Okay, another question is, why was the mass burial of the dead of the cookie opposed and then cancelled? Pratik, I think you were there.
या ये एक्चुअली जो जो एक तुरबुम करके एक एरिया है, तुरबुम मंगला। तो जब वॉयलेंस स्टार्ट हुआ था ना, तो वहाँ पे काफी सारे वहाँ पे मतलब दोनों कम्युनिटी क्लैश हुआ था, और वहाँ पे जो मेहते हाउसेस थे काफी सारे जला दिए गए थे, और वो एरिया खाली हो गया था। तो वहीं पे मतलब मेहते का क्लेम है कि वो हमारा गांव है, हमारा गांव था, हमको वहाँ से हमारे घर जला दिए, हमको वहाँ से रिलीफ कैंपों में आना पड़ा। एंड जो कुकी साइड है वो दे वांट टू, मतलब उनको वहीं उसी गांव में वो बरियल करना था, तो उसको लेके कॉन्फ्लिक्ट शुरू वापस से, मतलब वो टेंशन हो गई थी। देन फिर आई थिंक उन्होंने प्लान भी किया था उसके लिए। उन्होंने आई थिंक जब हम जिस दिन हम लोग तीनों चिड़चानपुर में थे, तो वहाँ पे वो एक मीटिंग भी हुआ था, रैली हुआ था, और उसी दिन का प्लान था कि वहाँ पे बरियल होगा। लेकिन आई थिंक फिर होम मिनिस्ट्री से ऑर्डर आया कि उसको आई थिंक रोकने के लिए, और उसको लेके काफी टेंशन हो रहा था, क्योंकि बीच में ये भी एक दिन मतलब मीरा भाई भी इसका एक दिन प्लान था पूरा कि दे विल मार्च टुवर्ड, सीधा वो हिल्स में जाएंगे, चिड़चानपुर में जाएंगे वो। तो उसको भी फिर वो रिस्ट्रेनिंग ऑर्डर आ गए थे उसको लेके भी, तो उनका भी वो कैंसिल हो गया था। तो वहाँ पे वो दोनों मतलब मेरे से क्लेम है कि ये हमारा गाँव था, हम यहाँ रहते थे, यहाँ से हमको हटा दिया। वो लोग बोल रहे हैं कि नहीं, ये हमारे उसमें आता है, वी वांट टू बरी देम हियर। उसको लेके वो टेंशन। बट एक चीज मेरे को समझ में नहीं आई, जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल दोनों जो, जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल वैली है, हिल्स है, ठीक है। अगर हिल्स वैली में अगर कोई कुकी है तो डेफिनेटली वो उनके अपने जो क्रोजोन उनकी बॉडी लेके नहीं जा सकती, और सेम इनका जो चांदपुर में अगर किसी का बॉडी है तो। लेकिन अगर वो खुद के एरिया में अगर किसी की बॉडीज हैं, अगर उनके जो जो लोग डेथ है, तो उनको इतने दिन रखना क्यों है? आई मीन मतलब मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि ये एक किसी की मतलब वो जो जो मर चुका है उसका, आई मीन डिसरिस्पेक्ट। दैट्स माय पर्सनल व्यू कि इतने दिन तक अगर आपने क्यों रखना है किसी का बॉडी 3 महीने तक, व्हेन यू नो कि ये आपके ही लोग हैं और आप इनको यहाँ बरी कर सकते हैं, या आप उनको जला सकते हैं, तो उनको उन बॉडीज को बिना बात के रखने का क्या फायदा? ऐसा पर्सनल व्यू कि मतलब वो चीज मेरे को बिल्कुल समझ में नहीं आई कि क्यों इसको इतना लंबा करके रखा हुआ है।
Partha is saying if you guys are in Delhi, you will get Manipuri food and Humayunpur, he's saying, I guess, which I think is also, it's really something that I also thought about over the last 2 months, that for in mainland India, especially like in Delhi, when you have students from the northeast who come, a lot of them, I think, are maybe quite united in Delhi, because here they're tackling the beast of prejudice from North Indians. So in such a situation, they may come together as Manipuris. And I was just wondering what's happened to that camaraderie that maybe a lot of Kuki students, a lot of Methi students would have studying in Delhi. Because they have very good networks here. I remember, like, when I was actively reporting that if there was a case in North Delhi which involved a student from Manipur, all the groups would get activated, issue statements, come and help. So they're very, they really come stand up for each other across states. So I was wondering, like, what has happened to that. But those of you who are not from Delhi, Manipur is a little area in Delhi which has a lot of restaurants from many of the states of the Northeast, Manipur being one of them. And it's a really lovely little street where you can taste food from all over Indian states, northeastern states. Okay, how is the conflict spread geographically? Is there a buffer zone? Who are controlling the entries to Methi Kuki areas? Yeah, there are. Like they had said, there are buffer zones. We can take your last. We have about 5 more minutes, so we'll take more questions. So guys on YouTube, you're watching this live stream, but questions हम सिर्फ अपने subscribers को ही पूछने देते हैं, because we are very smart like that. You have to pay if you want to ask us questions. You have to pay to keep news free. You have to subscribe to News Laundry, and then you get access to these special sessions where we interact with our subscribers who make all our reporting possible. A huge, huge thank you to everyone who contributed to NL Sena for Manipur. It's phenomenal that being such a small organization, we just have about 7 reporters, and we're just 60 people. So for such a small organization to be able to go report there, send 3 people there, and really spend time there, it's really, really remarkable that we were able to do that. And we were only able to do that because we had our subscribers who support us, people who gave us the NL Sena subscription. So it's really thanks to you guys. Thanks. You don't know how grateful we all are to you. And even our young reporters here, I mean, it's phenomenal for them to have, this kind of support in their career where they can go report without worrying about which side to pick. All we were bothered about was being factual, being fair, giving you a deep understanding of what's happening there, and operating under no pressure कि government गुस्सा हो जाएगी या ये क्या बोलेंगे या वो क्या बोलेंगे. So thanks a lot for that. So yeah, guys on YouTube, we are not taking your questions because we mostly take questions only from our subscribers in this session. But thank you also for tuning in, and all of you who are watching, you guys can also subscribe to newslaundry.com. Some of you watch our shows, you consume our stuff on YouTube, but that's not the only thing we do. We do a lot of reporting. You can check out newslaundry.com and support and subscribe and pay to keep news free. Okay, we don't have any more questions, so maybe last thoughts we can get from each one of you. One story that you want to talk about that is very close to your heart from Manipur. Piali, you want to go first?
I did 2 photo essays and 1 video report, but more than that, the story that will stay with me is the story of Sugnu and Serau, 2 adjoining villages. Sugnu and Serau, 2 adjoining villages. It was the first time in my life I saw a literal ghost town. Shops are closed, roads are vacant, houses have been burned, churches have been burned, temples have been burned. 2 villages that are next to each other, just a bridge between them. And it's a complete ghost town, and that is the story that will stay with me for the longest.
They are both Kuki and Methi dominated, like Sugnu.
Yeah, Serau was a Methi dominated village. Sugnu was a Kuki dominated, not dominated, but a large portion was Kuki community.
Surrounded by Kuki.
Yeah, but there was an attack on May 28th, if I'm not wrong, on Serau at night. Methis were forced out of their homes. 3 people died, if I'm not wrong, in that attack. The next day, there was a retaliatory attack in the adjoining village of Serau, and all Kuki homes were burned. And the refugees from that village, Serau, Kukis were refugees from that village, Sugnu, are the refugees I met and did a story on in Churachantu, the children from that attack. So I think just to see geographically connected villages that children told me they used to go to tuitions in the adjoining villages. They used to take a walk in the bazaars every evening before the conflict happened. And now just to see miles and miles of destruction, I think that is the story that will stay with me.
Who would like to go next? Story close to your heart.
I mean, all the stories are close to my heart. लेकिन एक चीज मेरे को जो मतलब मेरे दिमाग में आई मीन जब से मैं आया हूँ या उसके बाद में मैं उस आई मीन वी वर डूइंग अभी एक स्टोरी जो हम करेंगे जो पब्लिश होगी, तो जब वो करते करते ना, तब मैं वो केसेस देख रहा था और वो फैमिलीज से बात कर रहा था, जब मैं फिर वो जो किलिंग्स हैं, वो जो बारबरिक किलिंग्स हैं, वो सब पूरा इतना वो दिमाग में ये है ना कि वो बहुत मतलब इतने लोग मरे हैं इसमें और इतनी बुरी तरीके से मरे हैं, और उनकी अभी फैमिली का मतलब वो उनके केस मतलब हम सोच मतलब वो अपना किस्सा बताते हैं, एंड वो मैं सोच रहा था कि यार ये इनके साथ क्या हो गया, मतलब कितना खतरनाक तरीके से हुआ। तो वो जो चीज है ना, वो लाइक दैट इज वो मतलब अभी मेरे दिमाग में है कि वो क्या किस तरीके से लोग इफेक्ट हुए उससे, कैसे उनके लोग मारे गए इतने बड़ी तादाद में, मतलब 3 महीने के अंदर ऑलमोस्ट 200 लोग करीबन, मजाक की बात नहीं है, मतलब ये कितने लोगों का मारा जाता। तो वो एक चीज मेरे को बहुत वॉयलेंस वो दिमाग में है।
Shiv?
Yeah, I'll copy Prateek's remarks. Of course, all stories are very close to our heart because we put in a lot of effort. Like every story took something out of us. And before this, I mean, before I move to the story, which I really think is very close to me, I mean, I would like to you already thanked subscribers. We could not have done these many reports from the ground for such a small organization to send 3 reporters, 3 people. That's half of the staff to Manipur and to Manipur and report from there. I think we were very honest in our reportage, and what kept us honest was the fact that we were paid for by subscribers. We were not paid for by the government or the corporate world. So I think that made us more accountable towards our readers or our viewers. The story which is really close to my heart, I think the dead bodies, and another one is the gunfight that we saw, Priyali and I saw from the Kuki side. I think these 2 stories will stay with me forever, in a sense, because if you can't claim bodies, I think that's a big slap on the face of the state government, the central government, and the whole machinery, that there are 50 plus bodies still lying in 2 government-run hospitals. And another thing is the gunfight, because when we were at P. Geljang village in Churachandpur, bullets were flying from left, right, center, and not for once I was afraid. I was concerned about my safety. My only concern was like, I have to report this. I have to tell people this is what's happening on the ground. I mean, these many automatic weapons are there in the hands of civilians. So I think subscribers' money kept us honest, and we again thank all subscribers who funded this project. And hopefully we'll cover more stories from Manipur if you are with us again.
And one thing, like ये जो like शिव ने जो गन फाइट्स की बात बोली, गन फाइट्स वहाँ पे मतलब ऑलमोस्ट 10 अगस्त तक, 10 के बाद 15 तक 10 तक वहाँ पे गन मतलब बिल्कुल नॉर्मल चीज हो चुकी है वहाँ पे गन फाइट। वहाँ पे कभी भी गन फाइट शुरू हो जाती है जो एडजॉइनिंग विलेजेस में, और फुल हैवी शेलिंग शुरू हो जाती है कभी भी। मतलब जैसे कोई रोड पे लड़ाई झगड़ा होता है जैसे दिल्ली या पूना या बॉम्बे में, तो वहाँ पे अभी पिछले कुछ महीनों में गन फाइट्स का ये हालत है। 15 आई थिंक 10 तारीख के बाद से 15 अगस्त तक कुछ नहीं हुआ था, और अभी रिसेंटली गन फाइट तो नहीं, लेकिन रिसेंटली आई थिंक परसों या नरसों 3 लोगों को खुरूल में फिर से मार दिया है। तो ये सिचुएशन।
Great, thank you so much. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you all the guys on YouTube for joining us. Someone said who will represent Mufat Khors. So yes, you can represent Mufat Khors, but please you have to also subscribe to newslaundry.com. Log on to newslaundry.com/subscribe subscription, choose an amount that you like and support us. And remember, we have 2 NL Sena projects, one on Himachal Pradesh. Ridesh has already done stories, and one on the Monu Manesar short film project. We have still many stories to tell from Manipur because I think it will get out of public attention. But the import of what has happened there, there's a lot to be discovered. So if we do another NL Sana project part 2 of Manipur, let us know what you think about that. If you'd like to support that, if we should have that. Thank you for joining us once again, and thank you so much for your support. All the NL